Basically, you're seeing the prediction come through that the Obamacare and the exchanges are starting to implode. And so what happens with the exchanges is if you're a 25-year-old and you break your leg playing softball, you get on the exchange, get health insurance because they're required to cover you, and then you get the treatment for your leg, and once you're better, you drop the policy. And so you never collect those premiums to spread that risk out. So basically, most of the people on the exchanges are people that are already sick and hurting, and the healthy are coming off because they know if they get hurt or sick again, they can go back on. So imagine it's your house, that you come home and your house is on fire, and you go out the next day and buy insurance on it so they can pay for the house. That's what they're doing with health insurance, and that's why it's not sustainable. And so it's going to be a great opportunity for the Congress, not only this election cycle, but next session, to finally start coming out with some new solutions as it relates to health care, because it'll hit critical mass probably when we already know who the next president is going to be. We're probably going to see 30% health care increases next year. This economy is going to have to pay for that. That's essentially a large tax increase because all these businesses are required, for the most part, to pay health insurance for their employees. So that's taking money off the table for other expenditures that are going to go into an existing benefit that you currently have, or at least most of the citizens of the country currently have. And so I believe it was last year was the first time that the annual premiums of health insurance cost more than a car. So when Jim talks about Wichita School District paying 100% of the premiums for their teachers, they're basically buying them a car every year. Medicaid expansion, there's some folks that want it in Kansas. It is so problematic. Some of my more moderate friends say, well, we need Medicaid expansion. I said, you know what? You told me on the tax plan I should look at the out years. I never voted for it if I looked at the out years. You know, Medicaid expansion, look at the out years. We can't afford it. It is a burden a state of Kansas cannot carry. And let's be honest with what Kansas is. Kansas is a state of about 3.1 million people. Put it in perspective, Missouri 6.9. Texas is 17. Let's be real with what Kansas is. There are certain expenditures that we can't take on like Missouri does because we don't have the population to support it. And so we can't take on this Medicaid expansion because we don't have the population to pay for the state's responsibility in expanding it. Here's the other problem we have with it is you could have a manager at Walmart making $70,000. He's a store manager at Walmart. He has 4 kids. Because he has 4 kids, those kids are considered below poverty level. But they have access to private health insurance through Walmart, which isn't bad. Despite what you hear, my dad worked for Walmart. I loved his benefits. But the problem is that dad now, because he has 4 kids and only makes $5,000 instead of $100, can take those kids and put them in Medicaid and pay no deductibles, no co-insurance, no premiums. It's a pay raise for him that he puts them on the government, and that's now taking dollars from seniors that have spent down their entire ranch, their entire farm operation, and now are in an end-of-life situation where they are on Medicaid and needing that on a daily basis, where you have 4 kids that have access to private care at Walmart, but the dad doesn't want to do it because we expanded Medicaid and he doesn't have to pay for it now. It's free for him. That's why the exacerbation, the expansion on Medicaid the exacerbation by expanding Medicaid would occur. So, despite what you read in a Missouri newspaper that's subsidized by the city of Kansas City, Medicaid expansion is a bad idea. School finance. It's so frustrating that we don't control the debate on school finance. People read something in the Star and assume it's true. The problem is, and Yale every day is bashing the legislature, members, and the governor. And I have some frustrations with the governor as well, but nothing to justify that. And this is why we went through the block grant, which was a great idea that Ron came up with. What is it, about $7,200 with all the weightings per student, Ron? About $7,200. So you have a factory in Great Bend, Kansas. Factory shuts down, student leaves the 3rd grade. So the class goes from 15 students down to 14. They lose $7,500. Well, let's say because the factory closed down, they lose 150 students, but no 2 are in the same classroom. So that's $7,500 times 150. That school just lost $1.125 million, and their costs did not go down. They all moved to Johnson County because that's where the job's at. So the classroom in Johnson County went from 14 to 15. Their costs didn't go up, but suddenly we pay them $1.125 million. Well, Great Bend needs the money, so we paid them the $1.125 million. So we're double paying for the students. That's why Kathleen Sebelius didn't fund the formula. That's why Mark Parkinson, with a 1 cent sales tax increase, didn't fund the formula. I don't know what pixie dust the Kansas City Star is snorting that suddenly Sam Brownback's going to come in and be able to fund a formula where you double pay students. You can't do it. It's not a fundable formula.